Errol Spence says after he picks apart Terence Crawford, he'll be the best fighter in the world. Pound for pound, the greatest. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red, Spots. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So, the big homie, Errol the Truth Spence Jr. recently put out a statement, and of course he was speaking about the upcoming fight with Terence Bud Crawford. And he basically said that he feels like after he destroys Bud, after he crumbles it up and smokes it, he'll be the best fighter in the world.
I feel like that type of victory, does a lot for my legacy. I feel like it makes me the best fighter in not only in the welterweight division, but makes me the best fighter in boxing, period.
Canelo won't matter. Gervonta Davis won't matter. Devin Haney won't matter. Tyson Fury, who is that? All these guys who are in front of him, Jamal Charlo, these guys won't matter because he would have accomplished the greatest thing to accomplish in the sport of boxing. And he would have done it collecting titles. Not too many fighters have done it that way. Not the way he had to do it. Collecting all 4 or 5 titles, whatever it is. I think he'll get the WBO belt from Terence Crawford if he wins, and the Ring Magazine belt, which has been vacated for a while. I thought they had gotten rid of it, but apparently they didn't. They said it'll be on the line in this fight. So he feels like if he can pull that off, he'll be the best fighter in the world. He doesn't have to fight Canelo. He don't have to go through Charlo. There's nobody else out there who can stand in his way and, tarnish his legacy, where he's going to be cemented in the history books of boxing.
I feel like a victory knowing how Terence Crawford's temperament is and knowing how, when you push him, he's going to push harder. Just having to break him, I feel like that's going to be legendary. And, I feel like how stubborn he is, he going to want a rematch. So, it'll probably be 2 fights.
I would have to agree in a way and disagree in a way. I think if he beats Terence Crawford, his legacy is set, but there's still more he can accomplish. If he was to beat Terence Crawford and then go in and beat a guy like Canelo, then I would completely forget about the fact that he ducked or dodged Manny Pacquiao, and I would say he's one of the greatest who should be placed next to Manny Pacquiao.
Go and stop this narrative like we don't love each other. This divide thing. It's corny, it's tired, it's whack. What's really happening is they scared for us to get together. We might give y'all too much information.
Now, I know a lot of people disagree with that, but, these are my feelings. So, this is how I'm putting it out there. I do feel like if he beats Crawford, you're cemented. Your legacy cemented. You're one of the greatest welterweights. But you had an opportunity to be a historical welterweight if you would have continued on with that Manny Pacquiao fight, done what you were supposed to do, beat him, got him out the way, moved on, fought Terence Crawford. You'd be so much bigger of a superstar. I don't think Crawford would have even had an argument to make if he would have beat Pacquiao about the extra money he received for making the fight.
100% honest. I gave him that when we was in negotiations to make the fight happen.
Or, the back end stuff he was arguing about. If Errol Spence would have beaten Manny Pacquiao, there would have been nothing Terence Crawford could have said in negotiation. If he would have beat Manny Pacquiao, Ugas, there would have been no reason for him to fight Ugas, I guess. Well, yeah, that would still be no reason for him to fight Ugas because they stripped Pacquiao before he was supposed to fight Errol Spence. So they were kind of just fighting on a principle, who's the greatest welterweight out there, because I guess he couldn't get the Terence Crawford fight, so he secured that Manny Pacquiao fight because it was the next best thing. But when Ugas became champion, it is what it is. We could talk about that forever. So he went after Ugas. But if he would have beat Manny Pacquiao, then wouldn't have beat Ugas for the WBA strap, and then went and beat Terence Crawford for the WBO strap and the Ring Magazine strap, he would have been so historical, there would have been no argument. You know, I don't think Terence Crawford, once again, could have even made an argument about negotiations at that point. And what's funny about that comment I just made about Pacquiao is it goes double time for Terence Crawford. Listen, Terence Crawford could have been a bigger superstar than Errol Spence if he would have fought Manny Pacquiao while they both were on top-ranked boxing. But we all know he decided to go in a different direction for whatever reason, and it ended up just being a mess when it comes to when you try to compare those guys to the last generation, because neither one of them fought anybody from the last generation. So, you know, I guess they're trying to cement and build their own legacy, but I definitely think if Crawford would have fought Pacquiao, he would have been a bigger superstar than Errol Spence at this point in his career. He would have beaten, people say he wasn't prime, but Manny Pacquiao beat 4 more credible fighters after he left Top Rank. So, you know, if him and Terence Crawford would have actually gotten on, Terence Crawford could have possibly been the 5th on that list, or he could have walked out of there with one of the biggest victories on his resume. You know, it would have really bolstered and boosted up his resume to have a win against Manny Pacquiao on it, especially at that time. You know, Ordanius Ugas beat Manny Pacquiao, but he didn't really get the credit he deserved out of that because of his foreigner status. You know, he's not American, so Americans really didn't respect him for beating Pacquiao. And it's kind of crazy because if Pacquiao would have beaten him, he would have got a real pat on the back for knocking off another credible young welterweight. And, you know, Ugas really didn't get nothing out of that but the Spence fight. He got the Spence fight, then he got beat by Spence. And, you know, it is what it is at that point. But when it comes to his legacy, I don't think not fighting Manny Pacquiao is going to tarnish his legacy. I just think it would have bolstered both of their resumes a whole lot more. And I think, you know, it's a difference between being cemented in welterweight history and being cemented in all of boxing history. A win over Manny Pacquiao and a win over Terence Crawford would have put you at the top of welterweight in all-time history. You know, a win over Terence Crawford is going to put you at the top of, you know, this generation, at the top of the history that's made for this generation. It's not really going to put you at the top of all-time great. And maybe that's why there's not a lot of fanfare around this fight. You know, it just doesn't seem as built up as it should be. You know, these two guys are undefeated, and it's going to be for undisputed. So you would think that this fight would be getting a whole lot more praise than it is. But it just seems to me like the Ryan Garcia-Gervonta Davis fight, it's going to eclipse a lot of these other guys' fights, you know, and neither one of those guys was a champion. You know, who could figure that? You know, neither one of those guys were a champion, and I think that fight is still going to probably outdo the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight. Let's hope that I'm wrong. You know, let's hope that Errol Spence is right, that he'll be remembered as, you know, one of the greatest welterweights in history, pound for pound, you know, the greatest of all time. I don't know. He's got a laundry list of fighters that he has to go past to get to the greatest of all times, even just for welterweight boxing. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section below. That like button, fun mad, sure. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. More than likely get a response on the tubes or holler at me over there. If you want to collabo or feature a product or your channel on my channel, hit my Gmail. It is aflackofcards@gmail.com. And we are man ahead.
Hold up, stay fitted. Club doors open, I slide in. Looking like $100,000 times 10. I'm in a secret society. Tend to get a dame of the freaky variety. Club on fire, it's at least in the 90s. Club lights got my gold teeth looking shiny. Super keys, so many degrees. Black tea smelling like trees off a breeze. Lead the club smelling like trees when I leave. Know me cause I sell them CDs for the cheese. I keep it simple, no stripes, no polka dots. Rock what I wanna rock, fit still slogan. You can bet $1 million, you ain't got it like this. You can bet $1 million, you ain't got it like this. I'm looking like $1 million, nice kicks, nice feet. I'm looking like $1 million, nice kicks, nice feet. Hold up, stay fitted. Gator kicks, not the skin, but the logo. Acosta, fit fresh off the hanger. I'm a game changer. Lanes are in danger. No chain, no ring on my finger, but I'm still fly, so the lanes feel anger. Cause this chain costs about a stack, and they still don't see him like a tap on the back. I ain't a pimp, but I still Mac on the track, and all I really need is some yak and a sack. That way I stay in it. It's your boy Louis Keys, and I stay fitted. Well, you can bet $1 million, you ain't got it like me. You can bet $1 million, you ain't got it like me. I'm looking like $1 million, nice kicks, nice feet. I'm looking like $1 million, nice kicks, nice feet. Hold up, stay fitted. Hold up, stay fitted. Hold up, hold up, hold up, stay fitted. Hold up, stay fitted. Hold up, stay fitted. Hold up, hold up, hold up, stay fitted. You bet $1 million, you ain't got it like me. I don't give a damn if I'm in the white tee, scuffed up kicks and no jewelry. I'ma still shine like a jewel thief. Louis Keys, I don't mean to brag, just trying to hip you to the 7-figure swag. Knots in my pocket so my jeans might sag. Club to the mall, pop bottles, pop tags. Well, you can bet $1 million, you ain't got it like